Good morning. We find ourselves in the middle of the 29th week in Ordinary Time in the waning week and days of the month of October. I would like to just speak briefly about the feast we celebrated yesterday, Tuesday of this week. It is the annual memorial of Pope St. John Paul II. Now, some of the things that bear remembering, first of all, he had one of the longest reigns of any pope in the history of the church. There aren't too many popes who reigned longer in successive days, weeks, and years than Pope St. John Paul II. And having been elected on October 16th, in 1978 and dying on the eve of Divine Mercy Sunday in 2005, you can see just how long a reign our Holy Father had, well over 26 years. And in that time, of course, he wrote some of the great encyclicals and apostolic exhortations and letters of the 20th and even the 21st century, some of which come to mind: the great encyclical Evangelium Vitae, the Gospel of Life. He wrote two tremendously important encyclicals, Fides et Ratio, Faith and Reason, and Veritatis Splendor, the Splendor of Truth, meant to complement each other and meant to clarify serious errors, theological and philosophical errors regarding the moral life, the existence of objective truth, and the proper formation of one's conscience. If you have an opportunity, while the titles may be somewhat intimidating, if you have an opportunity, read those two encyclicals, because they are very easy to understand. They aren't terribly long. They're not thick theological textbooks, and they're excellent as far as reading and understanding better what the Catholic Church teaches regarding the nature of faith and its relation to reason and reason's dependence upon faith, as well as addressing the right way of moral thinking and acting, as opposed to giving in to the pure relativism and really unreasonable thinking of Western culture. But beyond those great encyclicals, of course, we know that Pope St. John Paul II traveled to more places more often than any other pope in human history. And because of that, he was the true pastor, the true successor to St. Peter in sustaining the faith of all the rest of us, just by his presence, just by his teaching. And one final reminder: it was Pope St. John Paul II who established World Youth Day, because he had this tremendous loving concern for the minds, the hearts, and especially the souls of our young people. He saw them not just as the present, but the future for the church and for the world, and to be formed rightly after the person, after the mind, and after the heart of Jesus was his abiding concern for them. So we celebrate annually on October 22nd the memorial of Pope St. John Paul II. When you have the time, read a good biography of his life, read some of his apostolic letters and encyclicals. They're wonderful, and the thing that comes through loudly and clearly is his love and devotion to Almighty God, our Blessed Lady, and the church which God himself established for the salvation of each of us and for the world.